Now, tourism, one of the first casualties when a country faces cases of terrorism and insecurity. And Beatrice Kachenge spoke to David Scowsill, who is CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, for a look at the possible impact of that terror attack in Kenya on the country's tourism sector.
We've had this incidence of terrorism attack since Saturday in Kenya, with one of the upscale malls that was attacked, and the siege is still going on. What impact do you see this having on tourism in this country, and also travel plans that people might have out there?
Well, travel and tourism is an incredibly resilient industry and bounces back very fast from either terrorist incidents or man-made difficulties or natural disasters. If you look at Japan, that was hit by earthquakes and tsunami, it got back on its feet very quickly. And we've seen terrorist attacks in other parts of the world where the industry has moved very, very fast. And what principally happens is that the government and the private sector have to communicate very clearly to anybody who will listen that Kenya is open for business, and this is a very isolated incident in one shopping mall in the centre of Nairobi.
Does that mean you don't expect to see cancellations?
I don't expect to see whole-scale cancellations, because the tour operators and the travel agencies who are sending people to Kenya are very experienced travel advisors, and they will look at some of these travel advices and they will read the social media networks, and they will get a very good understanding of where it is that the issue has happened and the fact that the rest of the country is open for normal business. So personally, I don't see a major drop-off of business coming.
Talking of travel advisories that you've just mentioned, in the past we've seen governments issuing them, and it has actually had an impact on the tourism sector. This time round, do you see it having an impact on the numbers?
Yes, I think where they've had an impact on the numbers is where a particular country has issued a general advice: do not go to that particular country. Where you have a very specific travel advice, like the UK one that exists currently, it's absolutely fine, because it says do not go in the area of that shopping mall in Nairobi. There is another small place in Nairobi you shouldn't visit, otherwise it's fine. So it's being very specific, and the travel advisors and the tour operators, they look at these travel advisories to sense check what's going on. But also, perhaps more importantly these days, they're monitoring all the social network activity, all the tourists that are currently in the country, all the people that are attending conferences like the one I'm here to attend today. They're all sending messages out on Twitter, on Facebook, on all the social media that life is normal. Since I've been in Nairobi, everything's been normal. Businesses have been operating. It's just been this very high profile and very unfortunate isolated incident.
On your end, have you received any calls probably from concerned would-be travelers to come to Kenya? Have you received any calls? Are they asking questions?
No, I mean, when the incident started on Saturday, obviously the message went out very fast around the world, and I discovered it on Facebook, just to give you an idea of how the social networks are operating. No one has said to me that they are cancelling their plans as a result of what's happening. And I think as long as the Kenyan government and the private sector industry communicates very clearly that the country is open for business, and all of the areas, whether it's beach in Mombasa or going to the Masai Mara, everything's operating normally, then the tourists will continue to come.
And are you happy with how the government has handled the communication?
I think the communication has been handled very, very well. And it's not just standard press releases. I think the government and the private sector are using the social networks, which is so important, because these days consumers are making their own decisions. They're not just relying on the travel experts. They're looking at like-minded people to see what they are saying about whether to go to a particular place. And therefore, the more people get on the web and communicate, the better.